#11 Things You Should Quietly Eliminate from Your Life. The old wooden bench overlooked a peaceful lake, but Rowan Mercer could no longer see its beauty. His hands trembled as he stared at the small notebook resting on his lap, its pages filled with years of disappointments, broken promises, and dreams that had quietly died. The bright afternoon sun reflected across the calm water, yet inside him everything felt dark. He had spent most of his life trying to please everyone, carrying burdens that were never his, chasing approval that never lasted, and holding on to pain that only became heavier with time. Then, on one unforgettable day, a simple list of 11 things changed everything. Sometimes the greatest transformation doesn't begin by adding more to your life. Sometimes it begins by quietly letting go. Before we continue, if you believe people deserve kindness, healing, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who may need these words today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that may be searching for hope. ***. Rowan had always been the dependable one. At 38, he was the person friends called whenever they needed help moving furniture, solving problems, lending money, or simply listening through another difficult day. His neighbors admired his generosity, his co-workers appreciated his willingness to stay late, and his relatives praised him whenever he sacrificed his own plans for theirs. Yet every evening, when he walked back into his small apartment under the warm daylight fading into the afternoon glow, silence greeted him like an old companion. The compliments never filled the emptiness. The gratitude disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived. Deep inside, he wondered why giving everything away had left him with almost nothing. One peaceful Saturday morning, Rowan visited a community charity fair held in the city park. Families laughed beneath bright blue skies, children chased colorful balloons across green grass, and local artists displayed handmade paintings beside flower gardens blooming under the sunshine. While wandering through the stalls, he noticed an elderly woman arranging second-hand books on a small wooden table. Her silver hair shone softly in the daylight, and her gentle smile carried the calm confidence of someone who had survived countless storms. Among dozens of novels rested a thin journal with no title. Curious, Rowan bought it for $1. Inside, only one page had been written. Across the paper appeared a sentence that seemed strangely personal. ***, your peace is waiting behind 11 things you refuse to release. ***. Beneath it was the list. First, eliminate the need to impress everyone. The word struck him immediately. He realized how often he wore invisible masks, pretending to be stronger, happier, or more successful simply to earn acceptance. Every exhausting performance had stolen a piece of his authenticity. Second, eliminate guilt that doesn't belong to you. He remembered apologizing for problems he never created, carrying blame simply because he hated conflict. That burden had become so familiar he forgot it wasn't his to carry. Third, eliminate people who only remember you when they need something. Painful memories surfaced one after another. Phone calls requesting favors. Messages asking for money. Invitations arriving only when someone wanted help. Very few people ever asked how Rowan himself was doing. Fourth, eliminate comparison. Every evening scrolling through perfect lives online had convinced him he was falling behind. He never noticed that many smiles hid struggles just as deep as his own. Fifth, eliminate fear of disappointing others. For years he had accepted invitations he dreaded, responsibilities he couldn't handle, and expectations that slowly crushed his spirit. Saying yes to everyone had become saying no to himself. Sixth, eliminate yesterday's mistakes. No matter how often he replayed them, they never changed. Yet every replay robbed today's joy. Seventh, eliminate constant negativity. He noticed how certain conversations always ended with complaints, criticism, or hopelessness. Those voices quietly shaped his own thoughts until even beautiful mornings felt ordinary. Eighth, eliminate the habit of waiting for the perfect moment. Dreams postponed became dreams forgotten. Years disappeared while he waited for confidence that never arrived. Ninth, eliminate resentment. Forgiveness didn't excuse what happened. It simply freed the prisoner inside, and that prisoner had always been himself. 10th, eliminate self-doubt disguised as humility. He had hidden behind phrases like "I'm probably not good enough" for so long that he believed them. But humility wasn't shrinking. It was standing honestly in your own worth. 11th, eliminate the belief that happiness must be earned through suffering. Those final words stopped him completely. How many years had he believed exhaustion proved love? How often had he mistaken sacrifice for purpose? When had he decided joy required permission? That afternoon, Rowan closed the notebook and walked home beneath the bright summer sky. Nothing around him had changed. The same streets stretched ahead. The same buildings lined the sidewalks. Yet something inside him had shifted almost invisibly. The following weeks became a quiet revolution. He politely declined commitments that drained him without explanation. He stopped chasing friendships that existed only during emergencies. He spent mornings reading beneath sunlight instead of comparing himself with strangers online. He planted flowers outside his apartment building simply because beauty deserved to exist. He enrolled in a weekend photography class, something he had postponed for nearly 15 years while convincing himself life was too busy. He began taking long daytime walks through parks where laughter replaced anxious thoughts. The remarkable part wasn't that his life suddenly became perfect. It didn't. Unexpected bills still arrived. Work remained demanding. Some people became upset when he established healthy boundaries. Others quietly disappeared altogether. But every person who walked away made room for someone genuine to arrive. Months later, Rowan returned to the same charity fair searching for the elderly woman who had unknowingly handed him a new beginning. Her book table stood empty. When he asked nearby volunteers where she was, one smiled warmly and explained that she had passed away peacefully several months earlier. They also shared one final detail. Every year she donated hundreds of journals containing the exact same handwritten list because she believed people didn't need more possessions. They needed fewer invisible burdens. Rowan looked across the sunny park filled with families enjoying the afternoon. For the first time in years, tears came without sadness. They came from gratitude. He realized peace had never been hiding somewhere far away. It had been buried underneath everything he refused to release. Inspired by her kindness, Rowan started placing small handwritten journals inside free little libraries throughout the city. Each contained the same 11 reminders, carefully copied in his own handwriting, hoping a stranger carrying invisible weight might someday discover exactly what they needed. He never signed his name. He never waited for recognition. Because true kindness rarely announces itself. It quietly changes lives. Years later, countless people would find those journals during ordinary afternoons. Some would leave unhealthy relationships. Others would forgive themselves after years of regret. Parents would become more patient. Young adults would stop chasing impossible standards. Elderly readers would finally release old grief they had carried for decades. None of them knew Rowan. None of them knew the elderly woman. But kindness has a remarkable way of traveling farther than the people who begin it. If this story has touched your heart or reminded you of something you need to let go of, please support this video by liking it, sharing it with someone who may need encouragement today, subscribing to Kindness Corner, and telling us which part spoke to you most. Your engagement helps hopeful stories reach people who may desperately need them. Special request * before this story ends, please leave a comment answering one simple question. Which one of these 11 things are you choosing to quietly eliminate from your life today? Life rarely becomes lighter because the world changes. It becomes lighter because we finally stop carrying what was never meant to belong to us. And perhaps the greatest act of courage is not holding on for one more day, but quietly letting go, stepping into the warm daylight, and discovering that peace was waiting there all along.